Welcome to the Reality Revolution. Today I'm going to address a topic that I really haven't addressed yet on the Reality Revolution. I haven't had too many videos on relationships or love. I have one called The Love Revolution. Check that video out. But one of the most popular topics on YouTube in the reality creation genre is finding your specific person. And one of the things that you find out when you start coaching and when you do life coaching, that kind of thing, and it's very frustrating for me, and it's one of the reasons it's kind of a burnout on some levels. I get so many emails or coaching calls, and I get the question, please tell me how to win back the one I love. It's oftentimes somebody has gone through a breakup that's really tough. And look, I get it. I have no right to mock you. I know how crushing and hard it is when your heart is broken. I know how desperate you can feel when you want to win back the one that you love. Several years ago, when I was with the mother of my kids, and she had left me for another man. And I was devastated, and I would do anything if I had found a sorcerer or wizard that said, hey, pay me $10,000 and you can win her back. I would have paid it. If they would said, hey, can I chop off a finger? I would have chopped off a finger. It was desperate. By the way, it's a great weight loss plan. But that is one of the more frustrating things. You get a phone call and where you start a coaching call and they say, I just really want you to help me win back the one that I love. Can we use the law of attraction or the techniques that Neville Goddard talks about? Well, I've done several lectures so far, and I haven't found anything specifically. Of course, Neville Goddard talks a lot about ordering your conversations in a certain way. And there's definitely something to that. And by using your imagination to affect other people. But I haven't really seen any discussion by him of attracting a specific person or winning back the one that you love. Now, this is a specific subgenre of the topic of the specific person. In many ways, it may be easier for you to win back a specific person, but can you win back the one that you love? Well, the great place to look at this is in Reality Transurfing. In the book Reality Transurfing, there's a very interesting chapter. Chapter 15, The Letters from the Past. And it's a letter that's addressed. So by this point in time in the book, it's actually separated into several books. And so that by this point in time, several of the earlier books have been published in Russia. And so people had sent letters to Vadim Zeland and asked him questions regarding these topics. And one of the questions is how to win back the one you love. And the letter was very simple. I beg you to tell me how to win back the man I love. Vadim says, if the man you love left of his own choosing, then it is highly unlikely that you can win him back. At least you will not be able to return him to your life with the efforts of inner intention. That is, by taking any actions directly aimed at getting him back. This would include any attempt to directly influence the person in question. Even if you were to have some success, the person would not be the same. Only outer intention will win him back. With inner intention, you try to influence the world directly in pursuit of your goals. Outer intention works in such a way that the world itself meets you halfway. I can briefly explain how outer intention works. In relationships, partners are guided by inner intention, i.e., they want to receive something from the other, and if they do not get it, they break off the relationship. Everyone has their own way of finding fulfillment in their relationships. They may need love, sex, respect, acknowledgement, approval of certain personal qualities, closeness, mutual understanding, escape from loneliness, fun, etc. Might there be one common element that unites these different needs? This common element has always existed, and it remains the protection and confirmation of individual self-worth. Whatever guiding principles inform a person's actions, all personal motives are linked with the feeling of self-worth. It is human nature. Inner intention in human relationships is always aimed at protecting and confirming one's self-worth in one form or another. This is what the inner intention of your loved one is aimed at, on finding a partner that will fulfill their sense of self-worth. So what is it your inner intention aimed at? Returning your loved one, and in doing so, firstly, restoring your own sense of self-worth, and secondly, renewing relationships which gave you a sense of fulfillment. Now ask yourself whether you can fulfill your partner's need if you allow yourself to be guided by inner intention alone. If you wish to win your partner back, you will have to give him or her the focus of their inner intention. Do not judge them for wanting to find confirmation of their worth in you, for you also wish to receive something from them. You may recall that the first principle of frailing sounds: abandon the intention to receive, replace it with the intention of giving, and you will receive the very thing that you gave up. Abandon inner intention, whatever it is aimed at. Define the focus of your partner's inner intention. Turn your aspirations towards fulfilling your partner's intention. As soon as your actions are redirected towards fulfilling your partner's needs, your own inner intention will be transformed into outer intention. You will find that by adopting this approach, you not only make your partner happy, but you receive from your partner everything you desire and more. If you can abandon the intention of receiving and replace it with the intention of giving, you will instantly receive the thing that you let go of. This principle works so effectively that it makes you feel as if some magic power were at play. This is real magic. No spells or love potions are required. Despite all we have said, it is difficult to return something that has been lost, as it is to step twice into the same river. It is better to try and adhere to the principles of frailing before the relationship starts to suffer. In any case, before you take any kind of action, if I were you in your shoes, I would think very carefully about whether you really want to win this man back, or whether what you really have is a burning desire to restore your lost self-esteem. It is very painful to feel rejected or neglected. I know. But even if I knew all the details and circumstances of your relationship, I would still be incapable of advising anything more specific. All I can do is give you the tool. How you choose to use it, only you can decide. Do not forget that the layer of your world is your mirror. If you prefer to suffer, this is what will happen. If you apply the principle of coordinating intention and evaluate the current circumstances as exclusively positive, this is also how things will be. You think that everything has gone wrong, but has it occurred to you that the split your loved one might be saving you from as yet unseen problems? Tell yourself that everything is unfolding as it should, for it is up to you whether you choose to delight or to suffer. If I was you, I would take heart, jump for joy, and clap my hands in delight. Let the mirror give you pleasure. And really, that's the best answer. I'm not saying it's impossible, but stop thinking about yourself and understand that your partner, the person that you want to win back, it's about them and their self-worth. And the reason that you're struggling with this is your own self-worth. And these are tough questions. Now, there's another letter that is somewhat related that I wanted to go over. And it's similar. It's about partners, and it's another transurfing perspective. I think what Vadim says is very helpful, especially for people that are struggling in a relationship that are close to the end of it. It's called The Game of Partners. Now, the letter, they ask him, you said that seemingly incompatible individuals marry as if to punish one another. When I read this, I thought I described my situation perfectly. Could you give me any practical advice as to how to find a way out of the situation? What to do and think? I've tried many times to improve my relationship. Sometimes things get better, but the effect is always temporary, and then I understand that my wife and I are just fundamentally incompatible. And I should try to build a relationship with a different woman. I have chosen to get a divorce. I really want to end the relationship, but there is a shared property involved, and so circumstances prevent me from carrying out my plans quickly and smoothly with minimum losses. Sometimes when I get angry and feel prepared to end it all, there and then, whatever the circumstances and consequences, the relationship seems to improve for no apparent reason. But soon after, it all kicks off again. What can I do from the point of view of transurfing to change the situation? And oftentimes when I'm dealing with a client in a similar situation, it's a struggle with a particular person because they're not very similar. And it's the way that they look at relationships. And so Vadim says it is true that the majority of divorces come about for the relatively trivial reason that the partners involved refuse to accept each other as they are. You might be thinking that this explanation is wrong and that I will show you why, but you'd be mistaken. It is not a matter of who is right and who is wrong. Awareness, or rather the lack of it, is the one banal yet key cause of conflicts that seem to arise over the trivial things in life. Annoyance reflects a lack of awareness. In non-lucid dreaming, the dream just happens to the dreamer. They are not aware that what they are seeing is just a dream because they are totally absorbed in the game. In the same way, people who are living asleep in the waking dream would react negatively like an oyster reacts to an external irritant. Everyone understands theoretically that each individual has a right to their own weird personality traits and eccentricities, and that they are not obliged to change if they are a little different to us. Yet most people are only aware of this when they are asked about it directly. In all other cases, the annoyance factor is triggered unconsciously. The type of person who is asleep in the waking world cannot allow themselves or others to be themselves. They create dependent relationships which generate polarization and evoke the wind of balance forces, which bring people with diametrically opposed personality traits together in order to cancel out the dissimilarity between them. In addition to everything else, sensing a polarity of qualities, pendulums induce actions that cause even more annoyance. You may have noticed that sometimes your partner seems to do things deliberately to annoy you. Be aware that in the majority of cases, they are not conscious of what they are doing. Their actions are influenced by a pendulum that wants to annoy you even more, so it can then feed on the energy of your irritation. You illustrate how polarization works in your letter when you write, "Sometimes when I get angry and I feel prepared to end it all, there and then, whatever the circumstances and consequences, the relationship seems to improve for no apparent reason." When you agree, whatever the circumstances, you let go your grip as if saying, "Let it burn." In this moment, the effect of polarization is weakened. The wind of balanced forces quietens, and the pendulum leaves you alone. As a result, the relationship temporarily improves. It would be more accurate to say that people who are similar in character are more incompatible than people who are very different. Translated into language of fact, when people say we are not compatible, our personalities clash, that what they really mean is we could not accept each other as we are. In reality, people with opposite characters can and should be able to live happily together in harmony. There is a reason why balanced forces bring opposites together, thereby supporting the status quo. You may know, as I do, of couples who have split up many times during the course of a long-term relationship, each time believing the split was serious, packing suitcases, smashing plates, burning family photographs, tearing up certificates of marriage, and carrying out other equally as inflammatory rituals. Each act of drama is likewise accompanied by terrible oaths that this time it's for real, and there's no going back. Yet the storm subsides and both warriors calm down and go back to living together again. All these conflicts, armed with rolling pins and plates, could be avoided if those involved could step down from the stage into the auditorium and observe the act, i.e. their life together, from a different perspective. It is essential that at least one of the partners do this. Why is a life shared by two people like a play? Because each takes on a role. I will be this person and I will do such and such and such and such. That you do irritates me. People become immersed in the play and behave without conscious awareness, as if they were sleeping in the waking world. Life happens to them, so they are incapable of influencing the script. However hard they try they do. Remember how when you were little, you used to play at being grown-ups? Unlike adults, children are aware of the fact it's all just for fun. Children always remember that this is a game, and so they act consciously like a theater goer who simultaneously acts in the play. Children are capable of changing the script in their game because they know it is not real. Likewise, in lucid dreaming, the dreamer is capable of controlling the events that are taking place because they are aware that it is a dream. When people grow up, they lose the ability to play indifferently and become mentally immersed in their games, as in a deep sleep, losing conscious awareness of what is happening as a result. Because people are asleep, in waking they turn into weak-willed puppets, obedient to the pendulums, and life begins to just happen to them in the nature of a dream. Try to live your life together as children. Adopt the roles you've attributed each other and play at them indifferently, just for fun. For example, as soon as your partner begins to do something you do not like and you find yourself getting irritated as before, play your role in picturesque or grotesque manner with humor. As a result, the dynamics of the conflict caused by dreaming unconsciously when you are awake will become crystal clear. And then you'll begin to realize just how many arguments are pulled out of thin air, like in the soap operas. When you become aware of this moment, you will at least be able to accept yourself and others just the way they are. Now, the reason I included this letter is a lot of times somebody might be in between one of those breakups. And when you talk to them, there are these unconscious patterns that you're playing out. And so I would ask you, if you're trying to get back the one that you love, to go back and try to evaluate the roles that you're playing as you play out these scripts. As Neville Goddard would say, they're states. And so we go into states, especially even relationships, this certain kind of partner. I'm going to be in the state of the arguing partner, or the nagging wife, or the confronting husband. These are all states. And so if you come into this consciously and wake up like you're in a lucid dream, and you treat this playfully like a game, a lot of these arguments that you're arguing about go away. So if you're in a situation where you've lost somebody and you want to win them back, and you have the chance, because there's a good chance that you will get a chance to get back with them. What always happens is these patterns start to play out like you're in a script, like you're in a game, like you're in a state. And it's almost like the other partner brings out this state in you, and that when you're with your partner, you're in a state. It might be a state of your parents. A lot of times I see people, and the only thing they really know about partnership or a relationship is what they saw with their parents. And so they come home and they watch TV because that's what their parents did. Or they come home and they have dinner because that's what their parents did. And you come and you start your arguments because that's what your parents did. So I would ask you to see and look in the mirror and say, am I in a state? And if you can break the state, it may allow you to come back to that specific person or the person and find love again. Now, this has not been dedicated to finding a specific person, but you could use some of the stuff that I'm talking about towards finding a specific person. But we ask the question, how can I win back the one that I love? And oftentimes, if I were to help somebody and they can get into a situation where they meet and they have a date or a couple dates, they go right back into the state. They go into the script, and the script pulls them right in, and they become unconscious. And so be aware of that. I think just being aware, waking up, can break some of these habits. Move into a different state. Move into the state of the loving partner. Try to figure out what states that you're enacting when you go into these relationships. Try to figure out the state that you need to be in to win back your love. A lot of times that might mean that you have to work on yourself. You might need to change. Maybe it's a habit. Maybe there's a state that you've been in that caused your partner to push you away. And so you need to find that magnetic state to attract them back. But it's not about manipulating the other person. You're not going to have a certain phrase that you're going to say or a little text that you're going to send that's going to win this person back. As Vadim says in the first letter, it's about outer intention and activating outer intention. And so you're not going to do it by inner intention. So when I see these groups where people talk about, I'm going to manifest my ex back, and you're not going to do it by sitting and meditating and visualizing your ex coming back to you. Because oftentimes what ends up happening is you create balancing forces, you put your partner up on a pedestal, and then you end up pushing them away because balancing forces come into effect as a result. Because you're trying to use inner intention to win your partner back. So what you want to try to do is activate outer intention. And if you go back to the beginning of this episode, you activate outer intention. You can activate outer intention by frailing, asking yourself whether you can fulfill your partner's needs and letting go of your own intention, remember, by abandoning the intention to receive and replacing it with the intention of giving, you will receive the very thing that you lost, that you gave up. It's a hard thing to understand because we're talking so often about imagining for ourselves. And that is why I think when we're in relationships, there's a dynamic involved. Now, I would ask you to really evaluate if you want to win your ex back. There may be a reason that they left you. If they left you, they may have done you a favor. They may have been aware of something that you were not aware of because you were unconscious, and perhaps your partner became conscious. So even if your heart is broken and those feelings come up and they're so intense, and I know it's hard to be rational in that moment, but how do you win back the one that you love? And outside of these two letters that we've discussed, I would also say, when you look at the mirror, if you do not love yourself, how are they going to love you? So when you love yourself, you'll see a reflection of someone loving you. It's so cliche, but it's true. If you're going to hate the person in the mirror is going to hate you back. It's just a reflection. And so what you might be seeing with the struggles that you're having with your partner that you've lost is a reflection of you. So you need to be aware of the dynamic of the mirror. It's interesting that you're not seeing the relationship books talk about these things. So we're seeing a crossroads in reality creation and just personality dynamics. But I would say also, don't become overly reliant on reality creation principles when it comes to relationship questions like this. Be genuine. Love yourself. Create a reflection and talk to them if they're willing to listen. Give them the space if they need it, but talk to them if they're willing to listen. I've had a couple clients, how do I win my ex back? Okay, well, have you texted them? Have you tried to give them a call? I'm not saying be a creeper and call them all the time, because that creates a balancing force and they will push you away. But I'm saying if you're relaxed and you make an attempt that's natural and genuine, then you have a chance. But when I'm talking to somebody and they haven't talked to them, well, it's been 3 years and I haven't heard from them. Well, then why don't you try to get a hold of them? All right? And that is the final thing, is the importance. If you place too much importance, especially in a relationship dynamic, you will see balancing forces right before your eyes because they can smell it. The importance is, it can be smelled. It's obvious. And when you put that importance on them, you're going to see the balancing forces come into effect. And so reduce the importance. Do not put them on a pedestal. Don't try to use inner intention. Abandon your inner intention and try to see if you can help them to fulfill their intention. Play it like a game. Become conscious and move away from unconscious patterns that you're doing. And then maybe you can win your love back. But here's the thing, if you don't, remember, we have repeated this throughout the podcast. Everything is working to your advantage. Everything is working out for you. And so if it's not working out, that means that everything is working out for you and it's not meant to be. And just by having that attitude, by having that attitude, you may end up getting the one that you love anyway. Open yourself to infinite possibilities. Don't get stuck on one person. If you want that person, you have to let them go sometimes. So the question is how to win back the one you love. And hopefully we can use these examples. And that's the best that I can give you. I hope it helps. Let's use the comments as a laboratory. If obviously people are struggling with this. Obviously people are struggling. And I know. I mean, it's an industry, billion-dollar industry of people desperate to win their ex back. Just look at all of the people that will cast magical spells for you to win your ex back. There's no magic that's going to work in this. You can do this, and it's a real thing. Create a reflection of love that will reflect back. And frail. And try to activate outer intention. Imagine lovingly for your partner instead of manipulating, because you'll create bouncing forces. This is a spiritual lesson. And the process that you're going through in losing your ex or coming back has a higher purpose and is teaching you incredible lessons. And don't be afraid to step back and become aware of those. I hope that what we talked about helped. And I really hope that you do win your ex back if it's meant to be. But in any case, I hope you find the love that you deserve. And guess what? I love you. And I'm sending love to you. And all the people listening, let's all share the love. We'll put it together and we'll create a pendulum of love that's coming right to you. So I promise you that you're already loved and everything's going to be okay. No matter how dire it seems right now and how desperate you want to get your ex back, I promise you it's going to be okay. Take a deep breath and look in the mirror and love yourself and take that as your first step. I love you all and I hope it helps. Thank you for joining me again on a wonderful journey. All episodes of The Reality Revolution can be found at therealityrevolution.com. If you need coaching, you can go to advancedsuccessinstitute.com. Thank you, and I love you all. And welcome to the Reality Revolution.